Hey everyone, welcome back to lesson number 3 of our unit on probability. You remember last class, or not last class, but last week, we talked about frequency tables and we did a little work with just basic probabilities. So today we're going to be talking about this thing called two-way tables. Okay, now what two-way two-way tables are used for? Okay, what two-way tables are used for is, whoops, I'm messing this up. So let's talk about when we would want to use a two-way table. What are they for? Okay. Well, what they are for is when you have, okay, let's say you have two or more sets of data. Two or more sets of data, or at minimum, at least two different sets of data, right? But, sometimes it could be a lot more. But when you have two or more sets of data, okay, and you want to show the data at the same time. Okay, so two-way tables are when you have different sets of data and you want to display all the data in one table at the same time. For example, let's just do a real basic two-way table here just so you get the idea. Okay, so let's just say that I asked some boys and I asked some girls a question. I asked some boys and some girls a question. I asked them, okay, did you do your homework? Okay, did you do your homework or did you not do homework? Okay, so we're just asking some boys or some girls whether they did their homework or didn't do their homework. Okay, so we're going to construct a little table here. Okay, just a real basic table. Okay, and in the bottom on here, we're actually going to do one more. We're actually do one more row here. Okay. Okay. So we had the question that we're asking is, did you do your homework? Let me clean up my table here. So you might want to actually pause the video and make your own table with this many rows and cells, okay? Rows and columns. You might want to take your time to do that, to put in your notes so that you can see just the basics of how these things work, okay? So what we're going to do is on the bottom, we're going to have a total column, okay? Or row. We're going to have a total row and we're going to have a total column. And you'll see why we're going to do that in a minute. Okay, so we asked some boys, did you do your homework or not do your homework? And we discovered that 13 boys did their homework. And 4 boys said that they didn't do their homework. So how many boys in total did we ask? Well, 13 plus 4. We asked 17 boys in total. We have 17 total boys. 13 did their homework, 4 of them didn't. Okay, then we asked the girls, did you do your homework or not do your homework? And we discovered that 15 girls did their homework and only 1 didn't do their homework. So how many total girls do we have? 15 plus 1, we had 16 girls. Okay, now not only are we going to total the columns, but we're also going to total our rows up. So we're going to add all the people that did their homework would be 15 plus 13. That would be 28 people in total did their homework. How many people in total didn't do their homework, whether they were a boy or a girl? So we're going to add this together. 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5 in total didn't do their homework. And then in this, always down here in the corner, we're going to have the total of the totals, so to say, right? So you can get the total of totals either going this way. So you can add 28 plus 5 is this, or you can go this way and say 17 plus 16. Either way, no matter which way you do it, you should get the same answer. Okay? And if you add 28 plus 5, you'll get 33. Okay? So this is called a two-way table, excuse me, because it displays the data for the boys and it also displays the data for the girls. Okay, that's why it's called a two-way table. I actually have two sets of data displayed in the same table. Okay, and you could have a lot more than two. So maybe you asked a question, and instead of tracking, like boys and girls, maybe you tracked, grade 1 through 12. How did grade people in grade 1 answer the question? How did people in grade 2 answer the question? And you'd have we could have 12 different categories in our table, but we've basically got 12 different sets of data displayed in the same table. Okay, that's why they're called two-way tables. Okay, all right, let's ask some really basic questions here. Nice and easy. Let's ask part A. Let's ask the question. This is just really easy. How many boys are in the class? Okay? Now that's the most basic of questions because obviously I could just look on the chart here. There are 17 boys in the class, right? Total, my total column for boys, there are 17. So my answer I would say is there's 17 boys. Okay, that's pretty simple. Let's try asking something a little bit more difficult. Okay, when we have to actually maybe do a little math. Okay, let's ask the question. Let's see. Let's just dive right in and do something difficult. Okay, let's look at the girls. Maybe we're going to ask the question. Okay, many girls? How many girls did their homework? Okay, as a percentage. Okay, so we want to answer with what percent of the girls did their homework. So we're only looking at the girls. We don't really care anything about the boys, so we don't care about the total in the class or anything like that. We're only concerned with the girls. We want to know out of all the girls, what percent of them actually did their homework. Okay, well, you can see that on our chart here, 15 of them did their homework. Okay? But that is out of how many girls in total are there? There's 16 total girls. So 15 out of the 16 did their homework. So take your calculator. Okay, take your calculator, punch that in. Let's see what we get. So 15 divided by 16. And let's round it to, oh good, this one only has a couple. Okay, so now remember, when you put that in your calculator, this is what my calculator says. Straight up, this is what my calculator, it says 0.9375. So you will remember to write any number as a percentage, that you take your decimal and you move it to the right, or you times it by 100, in other words, right? Take your decimal, move it 1, 2. It's going to go right there. So as a percentage, my answer is 93.75% of the girls did their homework. Okay? So that's a pretty basic example. Let's try something a whole lot trickier, okay? Let's try something a little bit trickier. So I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to make we're going to make another table now. Okay, we're going to make a table where we are looking at whether a person is left-handed or right-handed. Okay, and we're going to separate them by boys and girls. Now, here's where the trick's going to come in. Ooh, I meant to go a little farther down. Like this. Okay, now remember, we always want a total column, so always add that one extra column to your chart. Okay, so you might want to pause the video. because it'd be a good idea to have this in your notes so you have something to look at later. Remember, always put that extra column and that extra row, or column here, sorry, column and row this way. Always put that extra column and row because we do want our totals on the ends of our thing. Okay, now here's where the trick's going to come in, okay? I'm not going to give you all the information. I'm going to just give you some selective information, okay? What I'm going to tell you is that the person that did this and went around and asked the questions, they asked 100 people in total. Okay, they asked 100 boys and girls. Okay, they found that from the boys, there was seven of the boys were left-handed. They also discovered that out of the girls, 41 of the girls were right-handed. In total, left-handed people made up 18 out of the 100 people. Okay? So this is what I want you to do. Here's your first task here to see how your brain's working. Okay, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to see if you can fill in these other squares. Is there enough information there that you can use logic and figure out what the other ones are? So pause the video right now, try it, and then unpause the video, and we'll see how you did. Okay, so the way that you want to approach anything like this, where you're missing numbers, okay, the easiest place to start is, well, you can see that no matter whether we go row, okay, whether we go row or column, okay, we're always got 3 answers in total, right? We've got 3 things we have to figure out. So where you want to begin is where you have the most of the ones filled in, right? So we wouldn't want to start right here because we're missing 2. We wouldn't want to start with this one because we're missing 2. But if you look at this one, we're only missing 1. So we can use logic and figure out what this must be, right? Because this is a total. So 18 plus something gave me 100, right? 18, we'll just call that x, right? 18 plus some number gave me 100, right? Now you can do this in your head, but just in case you can't, you can figure it in your head, but you can just do a little algebra and get your answer, right? Those cancel out. So x is equal to 100 minus 18, which would be 82. Okay, so that means we've got 82 here. 82. Okay, now we have our choice. Now if we look at rows, okay, you can see this row, we've got 2 of the numbers filled in. We can figure out the third number, right? So 7 plus something is 18, or you can go backwards and say 18 minus 7. Well, obviously the answer is what? 18 minus 7 is 11. 11 plus 7 is 18. Okay, let's look at this row right here. It's right-handed people. 41 plus something gave me 82. Or you could do 82 minus 41. Okay, either way, 41 is exactly half of that. So 41 plus 41 is 82. And now we can figure out the ones on the bottom just by simply adding these. Well, 41 plus 7 is 48. And 41 plus 11 would give me 52. Okay, so we were able to fill in the chart even though they didn't give us all the data. Okay, now let's ask a couple really difficult questions here. Okay, let's ask the question, determine the percentage of left-handed students. Okay, so when you're doing the classwork today, or even when we get to the unit test and stuff like that, when we're doing, the classwork or the unit test, it's very important to pay attention to exactly what the question is asking you, because you can get off track real easy. You need to pay attention to exactly what they're asking you. Okay, so they're not talking about boys or girls here separately. They're talking about all students. They want to know what percentage of all the students are left-handed. Okay, so we're talking about all 100 students. So to figure this out, we know we're dealing out of 100 students. Out of all the students, which is 100, what percent are left-handed? Well, there's 18 out of 100 students are left-handed. Now, you should be good enough in math that you know that's 18%, but just to walk you through it, 18 divided by 100 would give you 0.18. And then to put it as a percentage, you would times it as 100 to get it to a percentage, which would be 18%. 18% of all students are left-handed. Let's ask another question. Part B. What percent of left-handed girls, or sorry, I asked that wrong. What percent of left-handed, sorry, I did that wrong. Let me fix that. What percent of left-handed students are girls? Now, this is a much trickier question because we have to really stop and think about what are they asking me here? What percent of left-handed students are girls? So let's first figure out what group of people are we talking about here? Are we talking about girls or are we talking about left-handed students? Okay, that's why it's very important to figure out what the question's asking you. Well, what percent of left-handed students? So we're talking about all the left-handed students, of which there's 18. So we know we're talking about these 18, out of these 18 left-handed students, what percent of them are girls? So we're talking about only the 18 left-handed people. What percent of them are girls? Okay. Well, there's 11 left-handed girls. 11 of the 18 are girls. So I would take this, type that in my calculator. Okay, 11 out of 18. So if you type that in your calculator, 11 divided by 18, and it gives me a big long repeating decimal. I'm just going to round it right to a percentage, okay? We're just going to write down the answer. It's 0.61. The actual answer is 1111 and it continues on. Okay, so 0.61. And then I'm going to times it by 100 or move it two places. 1, 2. So my answer is 61% of the left-handed students are girls. Okay, so I want you to see how important it is to pay attention to what the question's actually asking you. Okay? All right. Last thing I'm going to say. Last thing I'm going to say before I tell you what to do. It's going to say on the page. When you go back to the page, you'll see what you're doing here. But you're basically your classwork today. Okay, your classwork today is going to be on page 99. And I have a link and a picture for it right there on the page. Just click on it. You'll see you're going to be doing numbers 3 to 4. Not a lot of questions, but kind of tricky. There's part A, B, C. It's not just two questions. Okay, there's quite a bit to it, but I didn't give you that much to do. All right, pay attention to what the question's asking you, stuff like that. And be careful. The other thing I really want to emphasize here is that when you're on the Canvas homepage, when you're on Canvas anywhere actually, on the left-hand side, okay, on the left-hand side, I think it says like dashboard. I think it says home, dashboard, something, but a little bit ways down here, there's a symbol of a calendar and it says calendar. Okay? We need to walk through this because I don't see many of you coming into my live chats. And I know there was tricky questions last week, and a lot of you never come in and asked me about it. So either you're all geniuses in math, or you just are afraid to come click on this or something. I don't know what's going on. But I was expecting a lot more of you to show up and come ask me questions. If you click on the calendar, it shows you a calendar, okay? It shows you a calendar for the month, with a bunch of stuff, right? On the side here, it'll list your classes. You'll see your classes listed on the side here. One of them is going to say Algebra 2, right? One of them says Algebra 2 Honors, and there's a little button next to it. Okay, on mine it happens to be green. I don't know what color yours is, but if you make sure that's ticked, okay, you can even untick the other ones just to see the algebra 2 so you can see, you find real quick, okay? But you will see that I have put entries on there, okay? And it usually says something like 9 a.m. questions and answers. So you take your mouse, you click where you'll find it on a date. There'll be a date there, April, I don't know, 27th or something. Okay? It says something like 9 a.m. question and answer. You click it, another box pops up. So when you click it, another box pops up. Okay? And in there, it's going to have a link that says the same thing 9 a.m. questions and answers. You click the link, click it, click the link. It's going to take you to a page where it says, it's going to ask you, do you want to open Microsoft Teams? You say yes. Okay? It will open Microsoft Teams and put you in the channel with me. And you can say, hey, good morning, Mr. Bell, and you can ask me some questions. But I've only seen, at most, I've seen maybe 8 of you. There's 177 of you, and I've seen 8 of you on any given day. And I know that there's more of you that have questions. Okay, so you need to figure out how to use this calendar in Canvas to find the link to join my team chat so you can talk to me and ask me questions. All right, you got your classwork for today. It's I tried to make it as simple as I could. I didn't want to overload you with stuff. Trying to keep it so you can just not spend a lot of time and get this done. So I made it simple. There it is. Get to it. If you have questions, please show up to my question and answer ones. Even just drop in and say hi. Kind of sad that I'm not going to see any of you again in the classroom. We're going to end up finishing the year like this, so that's not how I wanted to end the year. I do miss you guys. Hope everyone's okay. There's your work. Come talk to me if you need to. Okay.